What's up, my bros? It's me, the professor. Hey, you guys. Just gonna come right out with it right now. There's a damn good reason why parental alienation in the United States is at 30%. It's at 30% because a third of the people in the US are fucking around on their spouse. And I'm talking about the wife, not the husband. You see this whole thing about, oh, men do it too. Listen, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a big fat number there. It's 30. That's one third. Now, if they make more than half of the population, hello, somebody. So here's the deal. And this is the reason why there are so many fatherless homes is because of parental alienation. Parental alienation is when the custodial parent makes it difficult or impossible for the non-custodial parent to see their kid. And a lot of ways they do that is because they weaponize the court system. All they got to do is say, well, he's an alcoholic or he's abusive. Did you know I lost my parental rights for almost 12 years? Because the courts, especially the Florida Department of Revenue and Child Support, sent two lawyers to help my ex-wife to fight me in court against in front of a magistrate, which is not even a judge. And they illegally took my parental rights away. Meanwhile, my ex-baby mama terrorist is telling my daughter that he doesn't want to see you. He abandoned us. He ain't shit. He doesn't pay child support. Sounds familiar, right? That's parental alienation. And it's child abuse. Not paying child support is not child abuse. What is child abuse is parental alienation. Now, why would people alienate the father of their kid? Pretty simple. If you don't want to be caught, stealing from a man legally through the court system because that man believes that his child is his child, that child is his. But here's what happens when that swab is done and they drop it in the mail and they suddenly realize that these are not even related people. The courts will still go in favor of the fraud. Sounds good, huh? What a good deal for them. Now, I want you guys to reach out to a dude, if you don't mind. Nah, fuck that. We don't need to reach out to fucking anybody. He'd be watching this shit right now if he really, really, really wanted to go after her. Because I'll give you a prime example. My son, who was alienated from me for 22 years, yes, Dennis, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to be on mother's side or not, it wasn't me that was avoiding the kid. It was her taking the money every month because she knew that if I found out he wasn't mine, then she would lose that income that she got from the dude that was before me. How do I know this? It's one thing to have hearsay. Hearsay is when somebody heard, hey, I heard that that's not his kid. I heard that she cheated. And I heard that she had a baby with somebody else. That's hearsay. However, when you witness the person committing the fraud, as in admitting to having a child with another man who is not the husband, now you're a witness to. And it's very hard to backtrack that shit, especially after that piece of evidence has been entered. And that is, this person told me, oh, my ex, he ain't shit. But you know what? I fucked him over. He fucked around on me so much. So I fucked his best buddy from the military, Mike, and I had a kid with him, and I made this other asshole pay. See, they'll do that. They'll have a kid with Chad, Tyrone, Brad, whoever, or in my case, Jody. Jody is a military version of Chad and Tyrone, who gets all the ladies when you're deployed. So in this case, the guy's name was Mike, and he had a daughter with this girl from Turkey, by the way, living in Germany when I was stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base. Now, I wouldn't normally, be the kind of person that is going to call this kind of shit out, but it's fuckery. And there's one thing I do not like is fuckery. Then to take it a step further, after you've committed fraud, robbing this guy of 18 years of child support, and then God knows how much that is. Guys in the States, he can't go back to Germany. He's got out of the military. He's broke as shit. And this girl bankrupted him because every time he got a job, immediately they would take more than 50% of his income. I think it was 60% of his income. So he'd have no money to survive. So he would go and get another job. She would take 60% of that. So they're going to go ahead and say that this dude has had his wages garnished, his Social Security garnished, all of his bank accounts frozen, all that money taken out. He was never given credit for that money, by the way. Even his new wife had her wages garnished. Her wages from her job were garnished for her husband because his ex-wife sued him for child support and it wasn't even his kid. Oh, man. Can you imagine that? See, I'm only saying this right now, and I'm only really saying this to one person in the entire world, and that would be my own son. My own son, Dennis, who is living in Germany, who apparently is on board with the brainwashing. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't a good boyfriend. I was with his mom for like a year and a half. At the very, 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 very end of this toxic fucking shitstorm that I was in which she followed me, sent fucking private investigators after me, had 2 guys come after me to beat the fuck out of me. That didn't work out good. Now, did it, lady? And admittedly, she told me all this shit. She goes, I sent 2 Russian guys to beat the shit out of you. She said, I paid $1,200 to 2 Russian guys to put you in the hospital for 2 months. That was her exact words. Funny thing is, I had a pocket recorder. I recorded the whole thing and gave it to my lawyer, which is what you ought to do. If you have a suspicion that that kid might not be yours, did you know that DNA tests are available at Walgreens, Walmart, and CVS pharmacies for $24.99? And you could go and get one, swab that kid's mouth, throw it in the mail. When you find out the results, you're going to need a lawyer because that is not enough evidence for a court to turn over child support. Even though it's fraud, you have a legal obligation in the contract with the state contractor that says you have to pay child support towards your supposed alleged kid. And they could come after you, and they did. They suspended my license 12 times for non-payment. They closed 3 of my bank accounts, obviously garnished the wages from every job I ever had. They garnished child support is a powerful, powerful entity. And it is the result of many, many years of plotting and planning to destroy the family in general, which is why they know that men make money and women buy things. So there is a very good synergistic relationship here, especially if the government can profit from it. How does the government profit from child support? This is why they don't want to eliminate child paternity fraud, because they will consistently make money on our deposits that are taken out of our check every month if you're paying child support. Now, I just want you guys to know I was practically bankrupted for 18 years for $1,886 a month in child support to go to a woman that's in Germany where I was stationed at, who was from Turkey. That woman committed paternity fraud against her ex-husband, who she was married to. I was never married to this girl, thank God. And he fled for his life. He fled for his fucking life. Because even though she was like 4'11" and he's like 6'4", guess what she could do? Pick up the phone, call her brothers, and come and kill this motherfucker. Because If you have something to lose as big as $1,886 a month, you better believe those girls are going to lie and get anybody they can to be on their side. And then, this is the best part, because in front of the kids, they're going to gaslight you and then turn that shit around and be the victim. This is the same argument my own son had with me. Trying, and then he like was waiting for me to defend myself. I'm like, no, there's nothing to defend here. I was a shit boyfriend. I cheated on your mom every fucking day. And then he says, you gave my mom an STD. I said, I probably did. He didn't like that either. You guys, you're not winning any points with me. I'm not trying to win points with you. I'm trying to tell you exactly what the fuck happened. It's just the problem is you don't want to hear it. So now I have this combative son that is going with his mother because he doesn't want to hear the fucking truth that she was a whore. That's the only reason why I was with her, because I gravitated towards whores. Putas. Girls are from lower class system. That's why I went with her. Because, let's see, I fucked her on the first night I met her. Okay, and then she came over to my house every fucking day thereafter. So you tell me who's the bitch here, all right? I was a younger guy. She was an older woman. She was probably about 6, 8 years older than me. And she was in her 30s. So I was thinking, oh, look, she's a single mom. That's one way of getting a girl real easy. 2, she's not real attractive. So, but she had a bad ass. So that's all I wanted. But after almost 2 years of being with her, she was sick of my antics because, for one, I was a raging alcoholic at the time. 2, I had PTSD from the fucking war. And 3, she kept me liquored up. Every single night, she would break out like cheap champagne and get me drunk as fuck on that shit and then go fuck in the bedroom. And then when she saw that I needed help with money, she would find a way to navigate some kind of scheme and get me involved with it, which is exactly what the fuck happened many, many times. She says, oh, my uncle, she wasn't related to that guy, who was her old boss, who owned this Turkish deli in a grocery store. He was a big gambler. And he used to go play cards every night and he would lose his ass. Eventually, they were going to take his fucking restaurant. Well, she asked me for 10 grand dollars. So of course, I want that ass. So I gave her the money in hopes that I was going to get a return on investment after this guy. It said for a year. So we took over his restaurant for an entire year. Not a restaurant, his deli for an entire year. Profited tremendously from it. At the end of the year, I got my 10 grand back, plus all the money that we made during the year. So basically, he had a year vacation, basically. And it's such a sick world, right? You know what I mean? That people trade money in exchange for anything at all. And it makes me wonder, this is just a side note. You know, if the Anunnaki came down and made humans mine for gold, that means that they needed gold, or they were just greedy for gold, which doesn't make any sense to me, because gold seems like a substance that was useless until we had ways of trading for it. But they apparently needed it for some, cataclysmic event or some shit. So they came to Earth, enslaved all the humans, and then programmed their brains to work to dig gold, to mine for gold. Now let's fast forward 10,000, 12,000, 50,000 years later. Now they're doing the same damn thing. They're mining for gold from the ones who produce to give the ones who spend. And in the meantime, they're making fractions of percentages per second. Every single time a man pays child support, it goes into a fund, which is invested aggressively into the stock market, aggressively into the world economy system, quickly turned around and then deposited into the mother's account. So you could see why they would not want to stop paternity fraud. They would not want to stop anything that has to do with child support reform, or even prosecute somebody who commits fraud, as were the normal ordinary citizen, which in my case, I bounced a check when I was in my 20s, And I had to turn myself into the police and have a record for fraud, for bouncing a check. And that goes on your permanent record, which means you can't get a regular job for as long as you fucking live. And you can't get a well-paying job or get a government job or any kind of job for as long as you live. And you bounce a check, that's considered fraud, check fraud. But when a woman extorts a man for 18 years of child support for $1,886 a month for 18 years, there is no consequence. Now the kid is grown. He's not going to be a witness for me. Hey, but you know what? If I had a DNA test on him and it came out negative, yeah, I would definitely want some help. Now, the laws are different in Germany as they are in the US. So I have no real way of determining how things are in your country. But I will tell you this, the first step in the right direction, if you have a doubt about your paternity of your child, prior to you guys getting divorced, you got to set this up well because she's going to set you up. And you see, the courts don't speak the same language as we do. In fact, by definition, they don't even have the same definitions because they use dictionaries like Black's Law Dictionary, which means that we don't even know what they're talking about in the court system. We don't even know what the magistrate just said to the lawyers that were on the state of Florida side that were on the unpaid lawyers from the state to defend baby mama terrorists to get child support out of me and the maximum as possible. And then to accuse me of hiding money. As I don't know if you guys noticed, I ain't got no surplus of cash laying around when I'm 20-something years old. So as you can see, things actually worked out okay because I did not pay child support to that kid until I was forced to. And how they forced me, because it garnished him from my wages. And I always had doubts about that kid. Now that I talk to him on the phone, I hear his voice, I see his picture, it's a clone of his mother. When I hear his voice and I hear his argument, it's almost as if I'm arguing with her. And I don't argue with women. She's arguing at me directly, indirectly through him, channeling him. And it would not surprise me one bit if she faked the pictures, had some kind of AI kind of thing, just so he would have a profile picture. And it'd be her, because that's the kind of crazy person she is. She has gone through great lengths to catfish me, to communicate with me, to communicate with a person that she doesn't want to talk to. And you know what? The funny thing is I hadn't talked to that woman in over 22 years. And the conversation picked up right where it left off. You're an asshole, you cheater, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to punish you. And you know what? Indirectly, she kind of did. Because if you get your license suspended 12 times, you can't go to work. You can't drive. If you get pulled over, you go to jail again. If you owe more than $2,500 of back child support, you can't renew your passport. I was stationed overseas. I was living overseas. She stole my passport, stole my debit card, went to my bank, cleaned me out. So you guys know this is all true story. I don't lie to people, and I don't want to lie to you guys, but I want you to know the facts about what the hell happened. Because paternity fraud is so common in the United States that only 30% registered that the father is not the natural father of this kid, and this woman did some shady shit. And now she's collecting money because she went ahead and divorced him, alienated him, made him look like the bad guy, and turned around and played the victim. So I'm going to tell you guys right again, go get yourself a DNA test for every kid you got. Get it ready. $24.99, you can't beat that. Swab test, boom, drop it in the mail, you get your results. Then you know what to do. You got to lawyer up. You're going to need 3 friends that are witnesses. If it's your house, you're allowed to monitor and do whatever the fuck you want. You get a baby cam, you get a fucking voice recorder that is triggered when people are talking. You get USB mini cameras, chargers for the phone, those little blocks, those are cameras. So if you want to actually know what the fuck's going on for real, get one of those. Yeah, I got a Wi-Fi extender here that has a camera on it. I got security cameras outside the house that picks up voice. And when I wanted to know something from my other ex-girlfriend that was my coronavirus shack up, all I had to do was just put the voice recorder, leave it in my house, go walk the dogs for an hour, then I could come back and hear the conversation she was having with her other friend. So as you can see, there are plenty of techniques here that are a good possibility, and they're totally legal because it's your house, it's your nanny cam. Now, this is where it gets illegal, okay? All right, so here we have just a regular USB, just one regular USB. And I got a flash drive over there. Seems like pretty innocent thing. The minute you plug this into the wall, and then a phone goes into this, I now have access to your phone. But I'm not going to use that or deploy that because it's illegal. I don't need to. You can if you live in another country. I live in Mexico. It's probably illegal here. Are they going to go breaking down the door to investigate whether I'm monitoring other people or not? Look, guys, it's all private eye tools. These are all private eye tools. It's nothing special. It's nothing new. It's not like some Kali Linux bullshit. You basically got anything and anything to come. You need evidence. You got to have evidence, and you got to have 3 witnesses. 3 witnesses, video, and then you're going to analyze and you're going to watch their behavior. Now that you know they've committed adultery on you, the best route of action is to hedge your bets, hide your money, displace your money, get her off of every account immediately. Be sure that you rework your lease. If you have a lease with your landlord and you're the one who signed it, you want to make sure that if she's on that lease, you get her taken off that lease. Okay. As far as her belongings and things like that, I know there's a protocol to this. So the best thing to do is just get boxes, do not close them, put all her stuff in boxes, put it near the door. Then you call or you arrange with a police escort to come when she is there to pick her stuff up. I'm not the kind of person that's going to help you move. I just did you the biggest favor of your life by not suing the living shit out of you for about 10 different crimes. So let's see how this goes, because my son is in Germany, and since I was just there and I was checking out where he lived and finding out where his mom was and where he worked and went to school and how he got around, just a little PI work. So I would know myself, is this kid mine? He doesn't look anything like me. He's the same height as me. His voice is different than mine. He has brown eyes. I clearly don't. He is intelligent. That's the thing that is probably the smoking gun in this, because he's smart. The funny thing is that he had no idea I was a professor of chemistry. He just saw some dumbass that fell off the fucking turnip truck that was fucking his mom 22 years ago. And I had no idea of any of my life experience. Even though he had access to my Facebook when he was 16 years old, he had made no effort whatsoever to reach out to me, even though I reached out to everybody with his name on Facebook. There was no Instagram back then. And then I was making YouTube videos, so I was a public figure in Colombia at the time. And of course, that probably infuriated his mother, because my side girl back in Germany was a girl from Colombia, more specifically Cali, Colombia, which, if you guys don't know, Medellin has the prettiest girls in the world, the prettiest girls mostly, the highest percentage of pretty girls. And then you jump over to Cali, Colombia, and then you're talking about tits, ass, little waist, long fucking hair down to their butt, and they're sweet as could be. And I'm going out with the toxic ex-wife of a fucking other military guy who's got a child from another guy, and I'm sitting here living with her, and she's treating me like an abusive mother the entire time I'm with her. And I get it. I would probably be the same way. But why would you pick a guy like me? Why in the fuck would you pick a guy, that is a mess, is a drunk, who smokes cigarettes, who looks like he used to work out. Why? Because single mothers have very low value when they're over 30. They have very low value when they're divorced. They have very low value, period, because they bring practically nothing to the table and are dependent on men for their survival. And now you can see the court systems are making fortunes off of us as men. We are the providers. They are the fucking takers. So it's a win-win. And you see now, here's the thing. I'm being a sexist because I'm calling out the truth that women lie to men and cheat on par with men, if not more, because of social media. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that men probably don't cheat nearly as much as women do because they're not at work all day. We're the ones providing for them security, right? We're providing security for them financially and physically. We're supposed to protect and provide, but then they turn around and do this shit to us and wonder why we're mad right now. In fact, practically the entire population of men who have been through any kind of situation with the family courts is going to agree with me. And then the women who profit from getting free money from men that have nothing to do with them or feel like they need a paycheck because you dicked them over, you fucked around on them. Girls, that is not an excuse to commit a felony against a man for 18 years because he fucked around on you when you really fuck around on us more than we do on you. Because now the cat's out of the bag. Because the reason for fatherless homes is because of parental alienation. It's not because we abandon our kids. That would be stupid of us. Doesn't that make no logical sense? What does make logical sense is abandoning you. You're the problem. See, when you're the problem, you try and make it like it's our problem. You cause us, you gaslight us, and you treat us like dog shit until we finally had a fucking enough. And we're like, this job sucks. I'm fucking out. I could see the reason why a man wouldn't want to be around you. And then you're going to turn around and say that he left. Oh, that's what my son said. Like she was some innocent little fucking angel that what I never beat her, fucked around on her because she was a cunt. She was terrible in bed. And I was stuck with this girl. A one night stand turns into a 2-year fucking hostage situation with a girl from Turkey who carries a knife and has no problem stabbing a man. Why would anybody deal with that? And if you're dealing with that, think about it. If you got a kid with that lady, you're fucked. If you do not have a child with that lady, say, fuck this and get out. But again, if it's a toxic woman, you're going to need 3 witnesses and you do need a lawyer. My situation was I was in a hostage situation where I was not allowed to leave, which is why she stole my passport and all my money because she wanted to trap me. She baby trapped me to begin with. Probably had this kid with some other guy. I'm curious because he said he played French horn. Now, I'm a musician. I sing, play guitar, and a bunch of instruments. And he plays the French horn. So there may be a possibility he really is my kid. The other part is he's relatively smart. His mom's not smart. His mom basically grew up in from an abusive father who traumatized her. So when she rebelled, she went to the U.S. Army and hung around the dorms, hung around the barracks. So she got the attraction of one guy. His name was Gerald. Gerald was traumatized by this girl because her father traumatized her. And then, as a result of him fucking around on her, and she decided to traumatize him and punish him, now she carried that over to me. And with that same attitude that pushed me out of the relationship to maybe go outside and find somebody else, or many others at the time, you got to wonder what makes them think that they're so valuable that we're willing to put up with that kind of shit. Why? Women don't have anything special about their pussy. Their pussies are all the same. They're all identical. Some stink worse than others. Some of you girls can dance a little bit, do that fucking top right and scoot your ass shit, but it's not important to us anymore. If we're not reproducing to have babies, you're lucky if a man even talks to your ass. Because a man wants fertility. A man wants to reproduce his own seed. He doesn't want to raise your kid. I sure as shit did. And that kid was terrible. That kid was a monster. He was 2 years old at the time. What the fuck was I thinking? This is what I was thinking the whole fucking time. I wasn't thinking about being married to that girl. But then she tried to force marriage on me. This is a cool part. She says, I want to reunite with my father again. Because you see, in Turkey, if you get pregnant outside of wedlock, you can't remarry. They don't have sex until they're married. And this girl did. So she was called in Turkey is a çok ayup. And this girl is a çok ayup to her father, who rejected her once again and beat the shit out of his kid. And then when she married a black guy from the United States and had a kid with him, he sure as fuck didn't want to deal with her then. And so she's carrying around all this resentment against men. And then as nature has it, she wants to punish men. So she steals from men and she manipulates men to cover her when she gets caught. And that's the unfortunate part my son's in, because now he's a son husband, which means that she groomed him from the time he was old enough to walk and talk and understand things to dislike his father, to hate his father, basically, because she did. Now, I got proof that she did, in fact, fuck around on her ex-husband and had a kid with another guy. And this poor guy is paying child support for 18 years for a kid that's not his. That's fraud. Knowingly doing that. Just so you guys know, she's in Kaiserslautern, Germany. And let's see. When I did eventually pay off all my child support, she went to the dentist and had her teeth fixed. I remember that. Because when you sit around your house and smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol and coffee and tea all the time, and you have no nutrients to your body, your teeth fall out. And before I left, she had one tooth missing. So you can see I got a toothless Georgia over here, carries a knife, who has a resentment against men, who is out to punish every man she knows and then manipulate every man who comes by because she got that ass. And she's willing to suck a guy's dick to get preferential treatment in the government, to get preferential treatment from my lawyer. So she's going to come on to my lawyer to make my life difficult? That's brilliant. I can't do that. I can't go to her lawyer and like, hey lady, you want to get down and so you can make her life difficult? Don't work that way, because men are stupid as fuck. And the other thing is that men lie. And I want to tell you guys something. From the minute that I stepped foot in that girl's life, I did not draw a sober breath or an honest word the entire time I was with her. Admittedly. But one thing I did not do is go have a baby with somebody else and then say it's yours. And then get charged for 18 years, $1,886 a month in fucking child support for a kid that isn't yours. And then do it twice. Do it with the ex-husband and do it with me. That's a pretty good substantial fucking income for a Turkish girl living in government housing, getting government income, because they have that too there, not having to work unless you want to, and leeching and parasiting off of two grown-ass retired military guys. It's a pretty good deal. So anyway, my message today is pretty simple. If you do have suspicion of paternity fraud, go get you some of these. Go get you one of those. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and rewind. And protect yourself at all times. Remember something, guys. Do not argue with the woman when you find out. Do not tell her. Do not show your cards, man. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. know when to walk away and know when to motherfucking run. I'm the professor. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I'm out.